She is Jessica Charman, radio commentator for Charlotte FC. Jess, let's start with Wednesday's disappointment. How does this team overcome that draw and the disappointment that we all feel from it and go out and get a W Saturday night against Miami?
Look, it's always going to be tough, right? Mentally, it's difficult to respond to that adversity, particularly the nature of how it happened with gaining the lead twice and then being cut back in a way that has become a familiar scenario this season, dropping points late in matches. That being said, these are professional football players for Charlotte FC who know what is on the line. We know there's incredible quality within this roster. We also know we're going to get players returning back in full strength. Karol Swiderski's going to have a little bit of rest under his belt. Jerry Ronan's going to come back into that defensive position. And most importantly, I think the fact this match is at home is absolutely huge. You and I have both spent time in Bank of America Stadium. We know what an advantage we can have when the crowd is in full swing of things. 60,000 plus expected in Saturday's matchup. That home advantage has to be used at all costs.
All right, you mentioned it. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. Playoffs are on the line. Then you mix in the Messi effect. What do you think it's going to be like for folks to see him play in Charlotte? And how does Charlotte FC handle him on the pitch?
Ooh, you're asking me the big questions. That's a difficult one because there's a reason why Messi has this reputation, right? He's the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the best soccer player in the world, and he's still in incredible form in his career. It's been interesting to listen to the different narratives about how much of a role Lionel Messi is going to feature in this match. He's come out very clear that he wants to play in this game. His coaching staff have said he'll be traveling to Charlotte. Minutes may have to be managed, but as we've seen with Lionel Messi in MLS, it only takes 10-15 minutes for him to have an impact. Charlotte FC struggled against Messi in that Leagues Cup 4-0 defeat. They'll have learned a lot from that experience about how they have to track his movement, but how he also creates space for other players. I think a lot of the time we focus so much on Messi and try and mark him out the game. The issue is if you do that, you create space for everyone else into Miami. So it's about handling all of the team for Inter Miami and preventing opportunities to be created. In terms of this fan base, though, let's be honest, it's a dream come true for so many people that are soccer fans to get to watch him play, to see him in person. It's an honor, but it'll be an even bigger honor if Charlotte FC is able to take care of business and prevent him having an impact in this match.
Jess, you look at the numbers and they're pathetic after minute 84 for this club. They've given up so many goals after that mark. They've given up so many point chances from winning position. What tactically do you think is the reason that Charlotte has failed so many times late in halves and so many times with a lead?
Oh, it's so tough, isn't it? 25 points dropped from winning positions this season. If you get even half of those, you're cruise control into the playoff push. It's been heartbreaking for fans. It's been frustrating for players. I think some of it's down to focus in terms of just lapses of concentration. When you look at the style of goals that have been conceded late in matches, a lot of the time it's not tracking a runner. You saw it against Inter Miami, a guy free on goal with no one defending him. I also think some of it's about that self-fulfilling prophecy. I know Latanzio said he doesn't think it's a mental thing, but how can it not be on the back of these guys' minds when it's happened so many times? How can you not be wondering, is this the match that it happens? So I think some of it's mental. I think some of it is to do with the personnel. We know we've had a lot of injuries. There's been an ever-revolving door of different players coming into play, and some of it has to be tactically. You don't like to point fingers, but at the end of the day, if you haven't put a game to bed, you have to be able to adjust defensively. And also, we can't always focus on the defenders too, right, Nick? It's not just about keeping the ball out the back of the net. It's about scoring enough goals that a match is dead and gone before it gets to that 84th minute. We've left so many matchups in a one-goal swing that's come to bite us on the behind on multiple occasions.
Yeah, and I know fans and supporters and everybody has got a bad taste in their mouth from Wednesday, and it was disappointing not to have everything in their control on Saturday. But what about the way this team has played the last month or so, Jess, gives you optimism against Miami at home?
I mean, just look at the goals that were scored against Inter Miami, right? Creativity at its finest, connecting passes, individual brilliance. Kerwin Vargas's strike was absolutely beautiful. And then Enzo Capetti getting a goal from the run of play. Your designated players are back on the pitch together as well. Anytime you can get your big name stars on the pitch together, that's a good sign. Enzo Capetti, Karol Świderski, Kamil Józwiak, all three of those players are going to be available. That's a huge jump in the style of play. I also think the fact that you kept two clean sheets before this Inter Miami game is a huge testament to the back line getting stronger together. It's been growing as a team effort. Unfortunately, this Inter Miami match was a bit of a blip in the road against them on Wednesday, but you've still allowed yourself to find that momentum and been difficult to beat this season. Now you have to put the cherry on the top and make sure you get playoff action.
Finally, Jess, playoffs are on the line. Do you think Lattanzio's future is on the line? Do you think it hinges on getting a win, 3 points in a playoff spot?
I mean, if you just look at social media and the fan base's opinion, absolutely, it's a tough scenario for Lattanzio to find himself in. I will say he's faced a lot of adversity with scenarios that were out of his control, with injuries. Of course, Anton walks. There's been a lot of difficult scenarios for Charlotte FC to be able to walk down this season. Nonetheless, with the expansion of playoffs going to 9 teams, to not find yourself in the top 9 when you talk such an ambitious talk like Charlotte FC has done. Remember, when this team began, we were promised a home playoff in year 1. The fans were patient. They realized that wasn't necessarily the case. But for 2 years in, to not be able to make playoffs, it would be a huge disappointment, particularly when there was a point in time where our destiny was in our own hands. I completely understand the fans' frustration, and I'm just hoping Lattanzio and his side can kind of pull it out and also get the favors they need from 2 of the 3 teams above them in order for Charlotte FC to be able to progress into that wild card matchup.
Jess, so many fans in the Queen City are going to be at this game. They're going to be at Bank of America Stadium. But around the world, around the country, when they watch on Apple TV, how can they queue up you and Willie P so we can hear you guys call Charlotte FC?
I mean, I may be biased, but it's the best way to listen to Charlotte FC games. That's what I'm going to get out there first and foremost. So if you're watching on Apple TV, you hit local languages, and then you're able to select local radio. And if you're walking around getting a drink, getting some food at Bank of America Stadium, that is Willie P and I getting blasted through the concourses as well. So enjoy, and hopefully we don't say anything too silly, because you never know with Willie P and myself.
Yeah, you're going to have to keep a seatbelt on that Willie P for this one. He's going to be jumping up and down, I'm sure, in the box. Jess Charman, thank you so much. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you so much.